My earliest cooking memories were definitely from a little age of, I was at the age of 4 years old, and I was just influenced and infatuated by all of these aunties and grannies in the kitchen that just literally got me obsessed with cooking. I mean, I was sitting in the backyard, breaking green beans for my oma. She'd take the top off, throw it in the bucket. I'd break it in half. I mean, I'd literally stand there with the stemper and just stamp. I've worked in restaurants most of my life in the beginning, which was quite cool. I ventured on into hotels and kind of got stuck there for about 12 years or so, which was very challenging. I think the most difficult part about cooking for me was that step from a lounge cook to management. It was such a turnover, a 360 sort of flip on life, because you were cooking, you were enjoying what you do, and it was easy to do that. You didn't even have to think about it. Now you get into management and there's a whole lot of other things that come together with producing food. Moving from that sort of world to private chefing has been completely different. I'm now at the point where I can relax and take 4 hours to cook something, opposed to rush it in the space of 2 hours because you need to meet deadlines. I've entered millions of competitions and I got rejected. Competition by competition, I never got in. I felt like giving up so many times, but I just kept my head down and I kept on thinking, how is this little playing Benoni boy going to get himself out of there? I got into Unilever for the first time, 2011. I was so stoked. Did the regionals, won the regionals, so stoked, got to the finals. It was Egypt, Pakistan, Dubai. It was big, it was huge at that time. I never thought I was going to win this thing, like, to be honest. The plates that came past me were next level, and I'm this little 23-year-old that's so wet behind the ears. I never knew the capability of my skill and passion at that time. And here they start announcing third place, second place. I'm like, okay, it's inevitable, I'm not going to get first place. And then boom, all the way from Cape Town, Dion. So from that 2011 Chef of the Year was this, the door opened up for me, and I just kept my head focused. I kept on entering competitions, got invited to join the South African culinary national team, worked hard and hard on that. I mean, to the point where I got called the second term back, and I was privileged enough to captain the team. I mean, I would have never ever in my wildest dreams, this cow-foot Indian boy running in the streets of Actonville, captaining the South African national culinary team. I mean, I have to say that I am still currently in the run because I'm representing South Africa and the Middle East in the Global Chefs Challenge. I will be competing this year in Wales, so just keep on tuned, watch my space, and yeah, just back me up.
Whoever said 3 is a crowd clearly hadn't spent the day in our kitchen. We're about 2 recipes in, and we're on to the third one, Chef, and we're taking it a little bit to India now, right?
Welcome to India.
All right, Chef, what are we making? Run us through it. Let's get into this recipe.
Okay, so we're making my death row dish, which is dal, the most simplest, easiest component or dish to make in the Indian cooking.
Okay.
It's basically like a soup, but we normally eat it over our rice dishes or biryani or so forth. And then we're going to be making paratha.
In basic terms, what's a paratha, so that we at least...
It's a flatbread that's layered with ghee in between the layers when it's plain, and it's pan fried. So it creates a lot of flaky layers in between. When you stuff it, the stuffing is layered in between. So it's really nice. It's a beautiful lunch snack.
That sounds amazing. And if you want to get your hands on this recipe, make sure to go to afternoonexpress.co.za for the full breakdown and ingredients list. Chef, what do you want me to start chopping?
Okay, perfect. Aphelele, you can just add, so we got 2 cups of flour, we're adding it to the bowl, and then we're going to add about a tablespoon of olive oil, and you're just going to work the oil into the flour.
Okay, so what, am I using my finger?
You're just going to crumble it through with your fingers. In the meantime, I got the lentils over here. We've soaked this overnight. It's important because what happens, the pulse sort of soaks up the moisture and it swells up slightly. So it rehydrates, which is very, very important. The second step when cooking lentils is you need to make sure that you wash your lentils thoroughly. You want your lentils to be so clean where the water's basically clear. So I've kept some of it with the water so you can look at it over here. Literally about 10 times. So don't stop washing it until the water runs clear.
Okay.
Once you're done with that, you need to make sure that you have boiling water to start your process off. So I'm adding my lentils to the boiling water. Okay, a bit of water inside of it.
So how much water would you put in there? Because you've already
I would say 4 parts water to 2 parts lentils.
Okay.
In terms of the boiling, it's very important that you keep a bowl with a ladle and some water inside of it, because you need to skim all the scum that comes to the top. So the pulse has a lot of starch inside of it, and it's unwanted, unpleasant starch that's currently inside of it. So we want to boil it and get most of it out of it, so we get this clean, sort of luscious lentil flavor at the end of it, and not that over earthy, unpleasant sort of taste. All right.
Interesting.
Okay, so for the filling, we've taken some potato, we've boiled it and just grated it over here. You're just gonna finely chop about half a teaspoon of ginger and a bit of this garlic to go inside of the potato for me, and I'll give you some herbs to add to that now.
Perfect.
That's for the paratha filling.
Okay, how are we looking here, Chef D?
At that point, we're 100% perfectly on point. Now we got boiling water. 1 part boiling water, 2 parts flour. We're going to add it to the flour mixture. Use a spatula when you're making your dough. If you're unexperienced, it works much more easier with the rubber spatula, because it sort of doesn't stick. The dough doesn't stick to the spatula. Yep. Okay, we can see over here the scum is already coming to the top. So at this point here, you need to start skimming. Remember, you want a really good dal. It's attention to detail through the entire process.
And Chef Aphelele, how's it looking there by your side?
The moisture is actually absorbed here. So I'm going to transfer this to a surface now. So Chef D.
Let's feed it.
Let's feed it.
Yeah, that's spot on.
So how long do you want me to work this though?
Just work it until it's a light, smooth dough. You don't want it to be too overworked.
Yeah.
Because you want that flakiness still inside of it. If we overwork it, it's going to be more stretchy opposed to flaky.
Okay.
So you don't want to activate the gluten in a sense?
No, not at all. Okay, so at this point now, what I want to do is take green chili fresh. You just want to slice a few pieces and put it into the boiling dal. It is very important that the green chili is fresh and not cooked, because you get a different sort of aroma from the pepper.
Okay.
So at this point, what you want to do is just add a liberal amount of oil over it and sort of rub it in all over around. Cover it with cling wrap and let it rest for about 10 to 20 minutes before we portion it.
Okay. How much of this ginger should I put in, Chef? Half or?
Much less, about that amount should be perfect.
Okay, perfect.
And then the same amount of garlic to that. Curry leaves, going to add a bit of dill.
Am I chopping these as well?
Yes, dill, fresh coriander, and a bit of mint. That's all going into the grated potato for the paratha filling. So Aphelele, I'm going to give you these 2 tomatoes to dice. But just make sure that it's very, very fine. So you can slice it like this here.
Yep. Okay.
And you're keeping the skin on for those tomatoes?
Yes. Okay, so at this point, I want to add the raw garlic to the boiling dal. Very importantly, just take note of what ingredients are going raw into the boiling dal, and the exact same ingredients that's being cooked later on and added to the boiling dal. Different layers of flavors from the cooked green chili, the fresh green chili, cooked garlic, raw garlic. So you literally want to sort of cut it into this paper thin slivers.
Okay. That's like chef skills right there.
Now this is what we're looking for, wafer, thin sort of slices of garlic that's going to melt into the actual boiling dal later on. I've just added some raw onion as well, very thinly sliced, same like the garlic, so it also melts away. Okay, just to recap on the dal now, I've added the raw garlic, raw green chili, raw onion. As you can see now, it's boiling really nicely and the scum is all disappearing slowly but surely. I'm going to add the turmeric in now. So we add the turmeric in raw, not tempered. It's a teaspoon. And it changes the color completely.
And today we're using red lentils, right? But could we use any of the other lentils?
For dal tadka, it's red lentils. For the different types of dal preparations, they're different types of lentils. So like for makhani, you normally use the black lentils for that.
Chef Dion?
Yeah. Okay, the tomatoes are perfect. At this point, our dough is rested enough. You can even see the bounce back from it. The oil sort of soaked into the dough as well, which is very important for paratha. We're okay with the potatoes. You've added the fresh curry leaves, mint, dill, grated, chopped ginger, chopped garlic.
Okay.
So we're on point there. We're just going to check seasonings. Now, during the resting process, you can see what has happened to the actual dough. Soaking up the oil has given it a different smooth texture, and it's going to be more easier to roll out later on. So you want to divide this into, I'd say 4 pieces. Okay. So it's big enough, and then I'll show you what to do with it once we're done.
Okay.
Okay, so we got our dough divided into 4 pieces.
Yeah.
At this point, I just want to get a lot of oil over my hands and onto the actual dough because we're stretching it out now. So paratha, we don't use any flour with it when we get to this point. So get enough oil over it, use your hands. And then you just stretch it out.
Because you've not even put any flour on the bottom of it as well.
No, no, no. Okay, so once you stretch your dough out.
And there's not even a rolling pin in sight.
No, 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 no. Don't be shy with some of your oil because you want it to sort of work in properly. Then that filling that you got over there is going to be the next step in some of that butter, please. Okay, so we've stretched our dough out. What we want to do now is get some of the ghee, or I put butter on because it's more flavorful, and then I just spread it on the edges. You can use ghee as well. I just like the salts and milk solids inside of the butter. The filling, you could use plain cheese in here, you could use sweet potato, pumpkin, it depends, it's up to you. So whatever flavoring you want in here, you could add it to, and that's your lunch for the day. So again, you just want to spread your filling in the center, because I'm going to show you the fold now.
Okay.
This is quite a science because you mentioned how this is interesting and different. I mean, I've never seen this done before, so.
Okay, so it's like folding a little envelope or like a dough thingy. Side to side, center to center, and that's it. Okay, so with the paratha, what we need to do now, very importantly, is allow it to rest for 5 to 10 minutes. You can see already from the first one we've rolled, look at it just lightly elevating. And it's got a sort of aerated pocketiness about it that it didn't have prior to leave it to rest. Okay, so you can see already here, the oil is sort of going to amalgamate everything together, and also it soaks into those porous holes and it allows it to swell up more. So when you're frying it, you just get these beautiful layers in between the actual paratha.
So it's going to be flaky almost.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to get my hands washed, and then we're going to make the tadka quickly.
Perfect.
Okay, don't touch to me.
How chef? Okay, anyway, while chef washes his hands, I think you need to stay tuned for more so we can see how that tadka turns out.